So are you going to Crosstown Cup this week? Because Crosstown Cup is... Oh, hi Bulldogs. I'm Diego Godinez, and it's Wednesday, and it's time for the Daily Dog Bulletin.
And I'm Owen Garianti. We have the news in a moment, but for now, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here's the news. Attention all world language scholars. Second semester registration is now open. Swing by World Language 101 or World Language 104 to pick up your application forms today. And students interested in auditioning for the spring play, Alice in Wonderland. Audition signups for the spring play are happening this week in T101. Stop by and see Mrs. Mosier in T101 to sign up or pick up additional information. Auditions are next week, and students who are not signed up cannot audition.
UBTJ Christian Club will be having a meeting today after school in B1010, and Music Club will be hosting a New Year's performance today right after school in Miss Lamb's room, AC 105. Swing by and check out the talented FHS musicians for free. They will have refreshments and snacks. Hope to see you there. Also, Key Club will be meeting today after school in HS 108.
Seniors, have you purchased or completed the Herf Jones borrowing contract for a cap and gown for the graduation ceremony? Carl from Herf Jones will be here today to accept orders. The deadline to purchase a cap and gown before the prices increase is this Friday, January 11th. If you wish to borrow a cap and gown, the last day of borrowing program is this Friday. No orders will be accepted after that date.
Also, seniors, last year one of our students was selected to receive the Northern California Scholarship Foundation Scholarship. This scholarship is $8,000 per year for 4 years and is awarded to high-performing students which demonstrated financial needs. Students cannot apply directly for the scholarship. Your high school must recommend you. See Miss Reed in counseling to request an application or for more information. The deadline for applying is January 28th.
It's raining again today, but what will the weather be like for the Crosstown Cup this weekend?
Let's check in with Sam to find out.
Thanks, Owen. We'll be having mostly cloudy days throughout the week along with mid to high 50s temperatures. We're looking at a cloudy Crosstown Cup this Saturday, so the runners better bring their jackets. On Sunday and Tuesday, we'll be having some slight downpours. Stay warm, everybody. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Sam. Other news. Congratulations to Scarlett Nisnik, Joel Joseph, and Ethan Sick for winning the VFW Voice of Democracy speech contest. Carla's first place entry earned her $1,000, and she will advance to the next level competition. And do you think you have what it takes to win a regional contest? The Lions Club event will be held on February 13th with the topic Freedom of the Press. What does it mean? See Ms. Posner in HS 104 for more information or upcoming speeches contest.
Juniors, do you know about the 4-week summer internship program for students who have completed at least one CTE class? Come to an informational session tomorrow during pause in HS 109 or attend a session on January 16th or 21st. Also, applications are now available for Boys and Girls State 2019. For more information, join Folsom High School's 2018 delegates on Thursday, January 17th during pause in HS 109. Please see Mrs. Reed in counseling for an application.
Students, are you a good artist? Can you create digital or painting masterpieces? Please enter the art contest to create a front and back cover for our local youth leadership conference. The theme is ethics, professionalism, and partnerships. Awards and participation in the conference will be given, and the deadline is this Friday, January 11th. Please pick up a flyer in Ms. Estrada's counseling office for more information.
Tomorrow, an FHS grad who currently attends CSU Long Beach will be presenting about the college and the honors program tomorrow during pause in HS 109. Also, any students interested in taking online credit recovery for IM3 or biology must attend a mandatory meeting during pause in the small gym tomorrow. And current AP students, it's time to register for your AP exams. Please follow the directions listed on the FHS website by clicking on the Student tab, then the Advanced Placement tab, or see your AP teacher for assistance.
In sports, if you're interested in track and field, please report to the track tomorrow at 3:20 p.m. for signups and trial information. Coach Kinoshita will be there to answer any questions. And this is the last week to join the wrestling team. There are currently 2 open spots at 170 and 182 182 pounds. Wrestling experience is preferred but not required. Practice are Monday through Thursdays from 3:30 to 6 p.m. Also, attention all swimmers and divers. If you're interested in swimming or diving for FHS this spring, there will be an additional meeting after school next week on Tuesday, January 15th in A203. All are welcome to attend.
Come out this Saturday, January 12th, to the stadium to watch the boys soccer team take on Vista del Lago in the Crosstown Cup. Freshmen play at 2, JV at 4, varsity at 6. Be there or be square. Come support your boys. Shout out to the boys varsity team. Let's get this dub.
And there's a last note from the office. If you have an early release this semester, remember to stop by attendance and pick up the sticker for your student ID card. Y'all, real talk, y'all better be there. I'm kidding.
I'm for sure going to be there. Stay tuned for some short films. Let's make it a great day to be a Bulldog. I'm Owen Garianti.
Y'all better be there. I'm not kidding.
You've no doubt seen all the news about the thousands of Central American families fleeing violent conditions and making the long, dangerous journey to the U.S., only to be caught by Border Patrol agents, detained, and separated from their children.
2,300 kids have already been separated from their parents, and they are staying in various places around the U.S.
How can you separate illegal alien children from their parents when the parents sent them here alone?
We've been trying to figure out what our government is doing with the babies and the kids once they take them away.
No matter where you stand on immigration, it's a pretty rough situation to watch unfold. One that's forced a lot of Americans to do some serious soul searching about how far we should go to safeguard our borders and who we should let in or keep out. All this border drama has drawn serious attention to a really small part of America's immigration system that until recently has largely slipped under the radar: the process of seeking asylum. That's when migrants arrive to the U.S. and ask to be allowed to stay here permanently because they fear being persecuted if they are sent back home. In other words, punished because of who they are or what they believe. Even though the number of illegal border crossing arrests are the lowest they've been since the 1970s, the number of undocumented immigrants fleeing Central America and requesting asylum in the U.S. has gone way up in the last decade. Though there was also a big wave of asylum requests from that region back in the 1980s and 90s when civil wars plagued the region. The Trump administration and other folks who want to crack down on immigration say this spike in asylum requests is clear evidence that immigrants are gaming the system rather than going through the standard application process. They say it's a loophole that has led to a big rise in fraudulent claims, allowed more criminals to enter the country, and created a massive backlog of court cases. But a lot of immigration advocates say the increase is due to the humanitarian crisis in Central American countries where violent crime has spiked out of control. So how does the U.S. asylum process actually work, and who is it intended to help? To understand it, you gotta go way back to 1951. That's when the members of the newly formed United Nations, which included the U.S., drafted an agreement that officially defined a refugee as someone fleeing his or her homeland because of a strong fear of being persecuted based on one of 5 categories: race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. This was only about 5 years after the end of World War II. The bloody conflict had forced millions of people throughout war-torn Europe to flee their homelands, creating a major global refugee crisis. Just years earlier, a number of countries, including the U.S., had turned away boats of Jewish refugees fleeing the Holocaust, sending them back to Europe, where many ended up being killed in Nazi concentration camps. Building on the UN agreement, Congress passed the U.S. Refugee Act in 1980, which distinguished asylum seekers from refugees squarely on the basis of where they filed their application. Both classes have to prove that they have a well-founded fear of persecution in their homelands, which means a legit fear of being physically attacked, tortured, detained, or killed. But unlike refugees who go through the resettlement screening process before coming to the U.S., asylum seekers are either entering at the border or already inside the U.S. with a temporary visa and are asking to stay permanently. Asylum advocates argue that this is an essential option for people, like many in Central America, who claim they need to leave their homes immediately and don't have the option to go through the refugee or visa application process. And although the president determines the total number of refugees the U.S. admits each year, the number of people granted asylum is left open-ended. So yeah, anyone can just show up and apply for asylum, and if you end up getting it, it's a pretty big deal. It means you can live and work legally in the U.S. and apply for a green card after a year, and eventually apply for citizenship. But don't forget, seeking asylum is a super risky path to take. That's because after making the long, dangerous journey to get here, the odds of getting in are pretty darn small. You're way more likely to be sent right back home. An asylum seeker who arrives at the border can request a credible fear screening at the official point of entry. That's an interview with an immigration agent who decides if the applicant really faces a legit risk of being persecuted or tortured if they're sent back home, as opposed to just, say, seeking better economic opportunities. They decide if that person gets a hearing with an immigration judge, who will ultimately decide if they are granted asylum or not. The number of credible fear claims has skyrocketed in the last decade, up by about 1,500%. Passing the credible fear screening is definitely no guarantee of success. It's just the first step in a long, difficult process. And only a very small number of applicants are actually granted asylum. In 2016, for instance, there were more than 92,000 credible fear claims, but fewer than 21,000 people were actually granted asylum. And although that might sound like a lot, people granted asylum make up only about 2% of the roughly 1 million immigrants that legally enter the U.S. every year. Also, keep in mind that there are less than 400 immigration judges across the country scrambling to deal with a crazy high backlog of more than 300,000 pending asylum cases. So even if you make it past your credible fear screening and get a court date, you might have to wait months or even years until you have a final decision. And then there's the luck of the draw factor. Whether or not someone gets asylum often comes down to factors like what country you're from, whether you have a lawyer, and which judge you end up getting. One recent investigation by Reuters reviewed nearly identical asylum cases around the country and found that immigration judges in liberal coastal regions like New York and the Bay Area were much more likely to grant asylum than judges in more conservative parts of the country, particularly in the South. To complicate things even more, what the government considers legitimate persecution is also up for debate. Until now, gang violence and domestic abuse fell under the catch-all fifth category that the UN came up with, membership in a particular social group. But Attorney General Jeff Sessions recently announced that those two factors should no longer be considered qualifications for asylum. He basically said that the U.S. can't take in everyone who's having a hard time. America has to draw the line somewhere, and asylum should really be reserved for people facing political or religious persecution, like it was originally intended. This new policy will most negatively impact asylum seekers from parts of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, an area known as the Northern Triangle, which has some of the highest murder rates in the world, equivalent to all-out war zones. Gang violence there has shot way up in recent years, and local governments have largely failed to protect their citizens from violence, forced gang recruitment, and extortion. That on top of some of the highest poverty rates in the Western Hemisphere make these pretty tough places to live. Asylum advocates insist this rule change takes away a vital lifeline for people in really desperate situations. They still face the real possibility of serious harm or death if they return home. So what do you think? What are valid reasons for granting asylum? Which asylum seekers should be let in, and who should be turned away? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe. And if you like this video, check out this one on gerrymandering and this one all about the U.S. immigration system. Oh, and one more thing. PBS Digital Studios is conducting its annual audience survey. This survey is one of the most important projects we do every year because it helps us understand who you are, what you like and don't like, beyond what we can see in analytics. 35,000 responses last year helped us make decisions on what experiments to try and even what shows to make. If you have a few minutes, please click the link. 25 random participants will receive an awesome PBS Digital Studios t-shirt. I wish I was wearing mine right now.